Stillwater's morning scramble, and Scott Petty is in with Stillwater Medical Center on a Friday morning. Nice to have the weekend here.
Man, it's May, Steve.
Happy May 1st.
Yeah.
May Day.
May Day. That's right.
It feels like we've gone through May Day before, doesn't it?
So it's amazing that it's already here, and at the same time, I think the last month and a half have gone by so fast, and for a lot of people, and I'm sure it's been a grind for a lot of others.
I think for most, it's gone both ways. It's hard to believe it's May because it doesn't feel like it should be May, and maybe that's because of our sports calendar or whatever else. We don't have a barometer to gauge that.
Right.
But in a way, it seems like forever that the mid-March, the world changed in the middle of March for us.
You know, and those people that are in healthcare, man, they've put in the hours and have been so dedicated to taking care of others that I think the time has gone very fast for most people. Now, I say that there are long days, and some days they're a grind. But I've been participating with the Incident Command Center at Stillwater Medical, and those days, I mean, it literally just seems like a couple of weeks ago was middle of March when this happened.
Yes.
It just has gone by so fast. And I think we've done a lot, and we have put so many things into motion to prepare for what could have come. And it's always interesting to me to see the naysayers, those people that always want to look at things from a maybe not negative, but from a opposing viewpoint, and certainly you can say, well, heck, look, the hospital never got overrun. We didn't have 1,000 cases. We're doing great in Payne County in this area. But let me tell you, all the things that we did, all the things that the city of Stillwater did, the city leadership did, put us on this path for success. Had we not done the rigid social distancing, the wearing of face masks, the closures that we had, OSU closing, that's unprecedented to do what the public schools and the universities have done. And then, like you just said, sports and everything else shut down. Had we not done all that, Steve, this is such a contagious virus. It really could have tremendously complicated our healthcare systems, not just Stillwater Medical, but all over. And think about these smaller communities. I mean, in Oklahoma, we're relatively rural. We're highly rural. I mean, we've got 4 million people here, but most of them are not in major metropolitan areas. And those hospitals are already struggling financially. I mean, we had our board meeting earlier this week at the hospital, and we took a huge financial hit in March, and it's going to be even larger in April. And so all of those things combined put us on this path to why we have low numbers. If you look at Texas County, and I go back to it because that's where my parents live, and I have a sister that still lives there, they have absolutely blown up. I mean, they've got, I can't remember their numbers now, but they've got, I think, nearly 120 positives.
Yeah, the mayor was going over that yesterday.
In the county, And in the city, I think they've got over 85 in the city of Guyman. Guyman is 11,000 people. We've only had 44 in Payne County and 22 in Stillwater. Now, I think we're expecting to have another positive or 2 in the next day or 2, but those are numbers that are impressive, and thanks to our community for doing what they've done.
And I may be wrong on the timing, but it seems like Guyman was kind of late to the party.
Totally.
Because their numbers were really, really low. And
Absolutely.
It seems like I read some stuff, I think it was on Texas County, where there was such pride that, hey, it's avoided us altogether.
Yeah.
And then it did explode.
Yeah, and Texas County was the first county out there. There's Cimarron, Texas, and Beaver County make up the entire Panhandle. It's just those 3 counties, and they're not a high population. But in Texas County, there is a Seaboard has a pork processing plant that was a beef packing plant when I was growing up, but it closed, and then it was shuttered for maybe 7 or 8 years, and it reopened as a pork processing plant. They slaughter on the range of like 25,000 hogs a day.
Yeah. Wow.
And those workers are very close proximity, and that is happening across the country right now. You've heard it. Tyson is running into it right now, but that's what's happening with what I call the rural ripple, is these rural communities that's a heavy population of our employment sector is right there. Now, a lot of them are farmers and ranchers too, and they're pretty good at social distancing. But but our community has done great, and I don't mean to talk negatively about our county, my former residential county, but it's just that's what's happened. That's the truth
Yeah.
about what we did and what they've not been able to do.
I'm off topic a little bit, but did you ever work at that company?
I never did.
Yeah.
No, I no.
My hometown had a shoe factory at the time. It's not in business anymore, but it's a shoe factory. And my sister worked there for a summer, and that is what motivated her to get a college degree and become a school teacher. She
I'll
goes,
bet.
I don't want to work at the shoe
Yeah,
factory for the rest of my
yeah.
life. Although we were lucky to have it, but sometimes that's why I wondered if
No.
sometimes that inspires you. Okay, this is not for me.
Yeah, no.
And God bless those people. They're working their tail off.
Yeah.
And we need them.
Yeah.
So-
No, I started as a mowing yards as a young
So did I.
as a young boy, and pushed my mower around the neighborhood and mowed people's yards. And it's kind of funny to look back on it. My next job, I was a janitor for my dad's office, and I emptied ashtrays and trash cans and vacuumed and that kind of thing. And yeah, and that kind of dates it, doesn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
this would have been in the 70s.
I
when
mowed
was-
lawns too, and I appreciate what my dad did more because one, he paid for the gas.
Yep, sure.
He drove me to the lawn I
That's
was
nice.
going to.
Yeah, that's
you know, you
cool.
do it in the summertime, and my dad was an administrator, so he had flexibility in the
Right.
schedule. I didn't realize he put in almost as much time as me to teach me how to make
Yeah.
$10 and $15 at a time.
I mean, that taught you work ethic.
It does.
And being on time and doing what you said you were going to do and those kinds of things. But so, but I did kind of work my way up, and then I delivered the mail and, did different things, delivered things around town for my dad's office. But anyway, I did not work in the meat
Yeah.
plant, but they paid very well, and that was a great living for a lot of
Yeah.
people that either couldn't afford going to college or didn't have an education to do that.
Right. Let's talk about what's going on because
Yeah.
obviously it's May 1st. Things are changing here in town today.
Yeah.
And again, you can go to the City of Stillwater site and they have a kind of an amended proclamation that's going to go up a little later on where they answered some of the questions because this is moving so fast that they needed to do that. But on Monday, your world changes a little bit, I think. It's Stillwater Medical, right?
It does, and I know Rob gave a little shout out earlier to our city leaders for their decision making, and I think I want to make a statement about that because before we get into this reopening, but it's so much easier, Steve, to pull back if you have some rigid expectations on the front end. If you're already committed to face mask, social distancing, and of course, you're not going to eat with a face mask on, let's be real. But like he said, somebody can walk within 6 feet of you, cough, and trust me, you're exposed, whether that person has it or not. And what we're trying to limit, of course, is the interaction that happens once you've been exposed to somebody then that has a complicated health issue, whether it's just asthma. I say just asthma, but hey, if you have asthma, that's a big darn deal. And it could be a big deal if you can't breathe. And those people are very vulnerable. So whether it's COPD, asthma, diabetes, these are some of the most vulnerable. And if your mother or grandmother has it, it ought to be a big deal. Or if your child has it. I mean, there have been child deaths. So the people that said, oh, well, this isn't a big deal 3 months ago because the flu kills 21,000 and now we're over 70. I don't know where we are now in the 70,000 in the country. I mean, we have to take it seriously, and it is easier to draw back later if you say, okay, it looks like these other communities are having success, but we are going to be a leader, and kudos to our city. So Monday, we're opening elective surgeries again. So those people that are having elective surgeries, they still have to not have a fever of 100.4, the symptoms, dry cough, and difficulty breathing. But they also have to have a negative COVID test. And so
if you will be tested then.
You will be
Okay.
tested. Yes, you will be tested. And that's for your safety as well
Absolutely.
as the providers that are taking care of you. So yes, go ahead.
Well, can I ask how we are on availability of tests? That's been an
Yeah.
ongoing issue, obviously.
We're doing pretty well. Again, it's so many other factors, the reagents and that kind of thing, but I do believe that we're in good shape. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to say we're going to do tests. I mean, we're going to do tests on every patient that's having a surgery. So whether it's a gallbladder removal or a knee ACL repair or whatever, those elective surgeries, although sometimes when you need to have that ACL repair doesn't seem elective, you really need that. So hip replacements, those kinds of things. And that's an older population typically. But we're going to deeply scrutinize those individuals to ensure that they are completely healthy. And but we just want to get the word out that that opens on Monday. So literally by today or tomorrow, if you're having a surgery on Monday, because you have to have that surgery then within 48 hours of that test. That's the standard that was
Gotcha.
put out there. Now that may be loosened again over time, but we're following the same gating criteria that's been laid out for us, and we have to do this. So uh, our EVS, our environmental services, which is our janitorial team at Stillwater Medical, has worked so hard with sterilization and I mean overtime to 24/7. They always are going into rooms of patients and they always introduce themselves and explain what they're doing. But this this crew for Stillwater Medical has been phenomenal. So a shout out to our environmental services team and those that take care of us and keep us healthy and well.
I hope I'm not out of school here, but we've had a couple of guests from Stillwater Medical in, and you included in there that almost when you're talking about your staff and all this, it's almost an emotional reaction
Yeah.
with pride,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it is. And I can't, you can't say enough for those folks. And especially if you've done that job, you can appreciate the hard work that goes into
Absolutely.
it. And we have a great team. And I know those individuals feel so blessed and fortunate to get to work alongside those individuals that are saving lives and they have a hand in it.
Yeah.
So.
Well said. So, what else we want to get out there?
Well, so today at noon, we're going to do our first Friday. We closed that off for a couple of months there in March and April, and first Friday will be on Facebook Live. So go to Stillwater Medical Foundation Facebook page and
Remind everybody of First Friday.
oh yeah, sure. So First Friday is our educational forum that we typically do at the library. We will not have folks at the library. We will not have anybody in the room except those presenting, and it is an opportunity for a physician or physicians or a medical professional to educate on some specific topic. And so today it's hearing. It's our Stillwater otolaryngology team, Dr. Dr. Goff and Dr. Crawley will be with us, and John Stewart from Integrity Hearing. And Dr. Crawley talked a little bit about
Right.
that with
Yeah.
us on Wednesday, but they will be talking about hearing loss and tinnitus. And I have that. It's ringing in your ear, and sometimes it ring, but some people call it tinnitus.
Okay.
That looks like it should be tinnitus, but it's
So you have ringing in your ear. Is it constant?
yeah, no, kind of. It's sometimes it rings a little louder than others, but when I went to John Stewart, and he's right across the street over here on 7th and Knobloch, he said, or husband, I'm sorry, he said, for your age, you've got about what normal hearing loss is, and I don't need hearing aids, but I can hear fine, but I have this ringing that's kind of constant, and sometimes it increases and sometimes it goes
Yeah.
down. So I'm sure he'll talk a little bit about that today.
No, that's interesting. And when you get to be our age, you have
Yeah.
to, because I know I've lost some of the highs, I think the highs and lows.
Hmm.
I wear headphones every day.
Hmm.
And so there can be a cell phone go off and others hear it before I do.
I bet. Yeah, I bet
you
that's
know?
right.
So, and when you say the ringing in the ear, notice I didn't fall back on the old joke. What do I do about this ringing in the ear? Answer it. So we didn't go there.
That's all right. Thank you for not. Well, you kind of did.
The vaudeville act is over now.
So anyway, just know that we are working extremely hard. I say we because we look at it as a team at Stillwater Medical, and we're working extra hard to ensure your safety and your health maintains the highest priority in your care. So do not worry. If you have to come to the hospital for anything, if you have to schedule an appointment with your doctor, I think that's the other big thing we wanted to get out, Steve, was that our clinics, they have been open. We have been doing telehealth when possible, but sometimes the doctor needs to see you and put your hand on you. And I heard of a situation yesterday where somebody literally had a broken ankle and they limped around for about a week and a half before they decided, okay, I better get this checked out. They literally had broken their ankle. And so get those things checked out.
That's one thing you called, I think, about 3 weeks ago or something like that. And you were really concerned about that. You were starting
Yes.
to hear stories like that, I
Yeah,
think.
people having heart attacks at home and dying from things because they felt like, well, I don't want to go get care. I might get exposed. And I think we're taking enough measures to ensure your safety, that that's not going to be an issue. And so, yes, call your physician, make an appointment, get checked out, go to urgent care. They are safe there. They're not letting COVID patients just walk in knowingly. Typically, if someone has COVID, they're calling in advance, they're going out. We still are sending people outside. Payne County Health Department is sending people outside to the cars, taking their test, their temperature outside, and administering their test in their car. They're not even coming in. So those are still, even our ER, if somebody comes after hours when the urgent cares are closed, we still go outside. Our staff goes outside and does those tests at the curbside. So we're doing everything possible to ensure your safety in those situations.
We haven't talked about it as much lately. I don't know whether it's not as big an issue or we just have had so many other things to discuss. But PPEs, where are we on that?
So yeah, we worked really hard and had a call, just like the city of Stillwater did, for masks to be made and gowns to be donated if people had gowns and gloves. We're in good shape on gloves. Gowns, we're in pretty good shape. Masks, we're in okay shape. If I could grade all those, they'd probably have different grades.
With
but
the N95s.
With the N95s, we're in pretty good shape right now. I mean, we have in excess of 7 to 10 days. We're good. We wouldn't be doing elective surgeries if we weren't, because you've got to have those
Right.
N95s for staff. And of course, again, our goal is to make sure that we've got enough to do the things that we know we have to do, and in case we have a surge, we need to make sure that we've got additional, and so we've got that right now.
Is that what that is? Is that an N95?
No, an N95
I'm pointing to, in the
yeah,
studio. I'm pointing to his mask.
This is like a level 1.
Okay.
This is the most basic of masks. This is what we're asking everyone that comes to the hospital to have if they don't have a fabric mask.
See, I have a bandana type, and I also have one that I mow with, which is a dust mask, basically, for allergies and stuff.
But the N95 and the level 2s and level 3s are really for the healthcare providers. They're a little more difficult to breathe in, honestly, and they're difficult to hear. So that's another challenging thing. If you're talking to a patient that is COVID and they're in a negative pressure room, where there's fans to make sure that any particles are taken out of that room, because if there is a COVID patient in the hospital, we do all we can to make sure that those particles are vacuumed out of the room. And so those rooms are kind of special.
Right.
And so that was one of the things that the governor had us do is, hey, you got to ramp up your number of negative pressure rooms and where you're going to take care of these COVID patients. Once it goes beyond that and the hospital says, okay, we can't take any more patients, that's when you have to do what they've done in New York, where you see the big kind of field hospitals, kind of like a MASH unit. Well, obviously those aren't negative pressure rooms. Those people are in bad shape, and they're getting care, but they're just not getting care in a hospital room that's a negative pressure room. But at the end of the day, those N95s have a little filter, and it's just a little more durable and intense masking, if you will.
Sounds good.
But the masks we're wearing they're suited for ensuring that you are not going to breathe in someone else's stuff, because more than likely something you in a restaurant, somebody walks by you and coughs, like we talked about earlier, that's going to provide you the protection you need.
Very good. Anything we missed?
Probably, but
you'll be back next week.
I think we touched on everything. So just thanks to everybody for helping the city and complying with the latest rollout of the measures the city's requesting that we do.
There you go. And thanks for all you do.
Yeah,
So,
you bet.
there's Scott Petty with the Stillwater Medical Center.